listening to Under the Umbrella podcast. Each week, we'll discuss various topics under the umbrella of the LGBTQ community. And I'm your host, Angel. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Under the Umbrella podcast. I am your host, Angel, and today's guest will be Vanessa Parish, and we will be discussing mental health. Vanessa Parish is a pastry chef from North Carolina, currently residing in Los Angeles. Vanessa runs a private catering business called Sweet Comfort for savory and sweet delights. She owns an online cookie business called Brown Sugar's Cookies, where she creates new and unique flavors to ship straight to your home. Vanessa just launched her own dessert pop-up restaurant called Torch, which is traveling across major cities. She has worked as a specialty pastries coordinator at one of the top restaurants in downtown LA and hosts the show Tasting Our Roots on BuzzFeed's Tasty channel. The show has reached over 15 million views, has countless shares on the web, and is now on Apple TV, Hulu, and Amazon Prime. She still works as a correspondent for Tasty and collaborates consistently on their platforms. Vanessa has been a featured chef for BET, Blavity, Airbnb, Google, and Food Network platforms. I cannot wait to talk to her. You heard it. Her resume speaks for itself. She is bomb.com. So let's get to it. Hi, Vanessa. Welcome to Under the Umbrella podcast. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, it's such a pleasure to have you on. Oh my gosh. So just to go ahead and get straight into things, as you know, we're talking about mental health, and I wanted to ask you, why is it that you're so passionate about mental health in the LGBTQ community?
That's such a good question. Well, for one, I got diagnosed with bipolar 1. So it's me really close to home with mental health. And then I also got misdiagnosed a couple years ago with borderline personality disorder, which is BPD. So I was getting treatment. I was taking medications for the wrong diagnoses for a long time. So I just recently in the last year or two got rediagnosed with bipolar, which made much more sense. And so now I'm on proper treatment, proper medication, things of that sort. And I recognize that while I was going through the bouts of this process, the medical system wasn't listening to me. My friends and family weren't listening to me. The community at large weren't having the conversations about why it affects our community so much and why our numbers are so large. And I think that's a part of the conversation that we don't have is about with mental health and the LGBTQ community. We are a marginalized group that deals with a lot of other things besides just being LGBTQ plus,
Absolutely.
Especially like we're intersectional. So, we're brown and we're women and we're LGBTQ. So it's a lot to take on,
I tell people that all the time. And when I say it in like that, then people look like, oh, because it is.
Right.
It's, everybody can't handle that.
No, and that's exactly the thing. It's a lot to handle. It's a lot to manage, especially without the proper support from your community at large, from your family, from your friends, from the medical community. So when you don't have those things in place, then things go awry. So I really wanted to be an advocate to show also people that depression looks different than you think. Anxiety looks different than you think. Being bipolar looks different than you think. Schizophrenic, I have friends that are schizophrenic. And, we aren't just these people that you see on television in straitjackets in a mental health hospital.
Right.
We have those people that are, impoverished on the streets with mental health issues, because that we are middle class, everyday people. Some are, some aren't, but there are some of us that are those type of people that are trying to go through life day to day like everyone else.
Right. Right.
So that was the other thing, which is like, when I tell people I'm bipolar, they're like, "What? You're bipolar? You don't look bipolar." And I'm like, "What does bipolar look like?"
Right. What does that look like? It's too much TV. I blame it on the television. It
No, it's a
really,
lot of media. Yeah.
yeah. Oh,
Um. So that was my real big advocacy, was just showing people that um, mental health and mental illness and mental wellness shows itself many ways.
yeah. Wow. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you going in depth with your personal story because, some people just afraid to have these conversations.
Hmm. Hmm.
And one of the podcasts that I released today was talking about molestation. And
Mm,
I was so nervous to release it because it's just something people don't want to talk about. And mental health
right.
is another one of those things that people just don't want to talk about. And it's like,
Hmm.
it's real. Let's talk about it so that we can help, you know, heal when it comes to the molestation part, but just help each other move forward and support one another. So I really appreciate you bringing up your own personal story because my doctor back in St. Louis when I was going, I remember her mentioning the borderline personality disorder,
Hmm.
and I was talking to her about somebody else, and she basically said that's what it sounded like, and I had never heard of that before. And she's like, yeah, just look it up and read up on it, and I just was shocked by it. And she said it actually, anybody who suffers from that, social media is the worst breeding ground for them. Like they
Yeah.
thrive in that. And I was just like, for the person that I was talking to about, it was all of it was true. So,
Yeah.
but of course that person needed to get diagnosed themselves and seek therapy and pills if needed, and all that kind of stuff. So, but
Yeah. I
no, go
mean,
ahead.
like you were saying, just though, like having a conversation, it raises awareness to people to recognize signs
Mm-hmm.
and to
Mm-hmm.
also recognize how to be empathetic and to take
Yes.
action and to be helpful.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that don't know that they have mental illnesses. They just think that there's something, maybe something's wrong with them, or they don't think something's wrong with them at all. There's a lot of people,
Right.
but which is not to say that like having mental illness means there's something wrong with you, but just
Right.
your processing is different. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people don't recognize that they may have difficulty somewhere that could be helped if
Mm-hmm.
they got the help they needed. So it's also for the community that doesn't suffer from mental illness to be aware of signs to help
Mm-hmm.
their family members and friends, like, hey, I think, I've been noticing some signs and maybe it would be beneficial for you to like see a therapist and talk to someone or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, if you have those conversations and you have that awareness, then when you have to have those difficult interactions, it's a lot easier because
Mm-hmm.
you have information. A
Right.
lot of things come from misinformation, which is why this stigma of like, oh, they have mental illness and like, oh, they are not mentally well, it comes from the stigma of
Yeah.
not being informed as to what that really is.
Yeah. I agree. I agree 100%. I sure do. Um, so with that being said, how do you feel that mental health impacts members of the LGBTQ community?
Oh my gosh. I mean, a vast majority of us, unfortunately, like I'll even speak for like the LA statistics, a vast majority of LGBTQ youth are homeless and
Hmm.
and seniors. So the age between like I would say 28 and 50, we're doing better than under 28 and over 55. So to say that like our youth is suffering because mental health definitely plays a part in development.
Yeah.
And when you were um, disengaged from your community and your family and friends at an early age, that affects your development.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And then that
Yeah.
also can affect your growth as an adult. So when I'm turning 28. So like when you're 28, that can affect you with your job performance. That can affect you with how you interact with people. And that can affect you with how you just interact with yourself. So we're already having these emotions of feeling disengaged with because of our identity.
Hmm.
So that affects our mental health. And then everything else is kind of falling apart around us.
Hmm.
So where do we get those resources? Where do we get that internal mindset to feel well when we're not getting the wellness we need? You
Right.
know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, so I think it's kind of like a rippling effect. And then also, I think it's also like nature versus nurture. So you've got the nurturing part that we just talked about as far as, not getting what you need from your community and your family and friends, but then also there's nature. Some people
Mm-hmm.
are just born with mental illnesses.
Yeah.
There's just, the brain waves and how the brain is a mysterious thing. So,
Yes.
just how the brain grows and how it changes and adapts throughout your life, some things can just happen that way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so like I've even had like a brain scan, like between like a quote unquote normal brain and like a bipolar brain. And there's a lot of various waves of my brain that are
Mm-hmm.
very completely different. So it's definitely a combination of nature versus nurture with our community alone. And we are at a high insurmountable rate of people that suffer mental illness in our community because of the nurture aspect of not getting what we need in our community and the disengagement that we get.
Yeah. I had a conversation with a gentleman who is trans, and
Mm,
I'm so excited that he's going to be on the podcast because I'm making it like my own personal mission to learn more about the trans community because I don't
of course.
know a lot about the trans community, and that was something that he talks about the whole just the mental health and just how doctors just there's so much what is the discrimination when it comes
Mm,
to our community as it is when it comes to
yes.
healthcare. And he was just telling me a little bit of his story. Just we were just trying to get to know each other a little bit, um, and I just was shocked at some of the stuff that he was telling me pertaining to like doctors just giving them so much medicine that they don't need, and
Mm,
just a lot of stuff with their mental health. And I'm like, that. I mean, it's just scary. Like it was a blessing that he's even still alive because they had him on so much testosterone. Like,
wow.
yeah, yeah,
They're
I
not,
cannot, I
they're not
cannot,
regulating. They don't care. Yeah.
no, no, but I cannot wait to have him on because he's just, I mean, he's very knowledgeable and he's sent me so many resources, and that's something I'm trying to do is build up some resources for
Mm,
people when they reach out to me that I can assist them with, or at least direct them to somebody to assist. But wow. Um, my next question is, what are your thoughts about individuals seeking therapy, especially within the Black community?
oh, okay. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, because
uh,
yeah.
the Black community has a terrible, terrible notion with mental health and
Mm-hmm.
the Black community. Like I don't really understand it. Like, and I know it's rooted from my experience because I'm from the South. So
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of it's rooted from religion. Like, when I was having mental health issues and things like that, my grandmother would just be like, we'll just pray about it.
Yeah.
Like we'll just let the Lord handle it and things like that. So, if you're having issues that are stem from within, either you're too soft or you're a baby, you're not strong enough, and
Mm-hmm.
or you're not letting the Lord heal you. Like there's so many other reasons that are come up with
Mm-hmm.
besides maybe I should just seek therapy.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
conversation of seeking therapy started with our generation. Like,
Yeah.
we are therapist seekers. We are like, okay, I need to go to a therapist. I need to talk to someone. I think that we are kind of the champions of not really listening to other generations with that type of rhetoric that was
Yeah.
not helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's really discouraging because I tell people all the time, like, that's another reason why I talk about my mental health so much, because I'm like, look, I have bipolar. I am in therapy. I have a psychiatrist as well. I take daily medications. These are things that help me be the person that you get to see every day,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And people look at me like, wow, that's a lot of information for you to share. I'm like, no, because you need to hear it.
Yes, it
You
needs
need
to
to
be
hear that
shared.
someone is doing these things and they're thriving in this facet of life.
Yeah.
If you continuously hide the fact that you're in therapy, like, what's the big secret? You're in therapy because
Yeah.
you need help.
Yeah.
You're
You
not going to
need
hide the fact that you went to a doctor when you broke your foot.
Exactly.
You know, like you got a big cast on your foot. Like, what are you gonna do? Tell people like, oh, I don't know what happened. Like, you know, it's kind of that same mentality of like, if you need help, you go to the person that will help you.
Yeah. I agree. I totally agree with you.
I think it's very simple, but yes, the Black community, there's just a disparity because of the ignorance. You know, it just goes back to the ignorance of being misinformed, not really having all the answers, and then depending on outside sources, i.e., religion, or a mentor. Like, you know, it's like, oh, maybe you should get a mentor or something like that. But if your mentor isn't mentally sound as well, then what you doing? It's just the blind leading the blind,
exactly.
You know? So yeah, it's very frustrating, but I mean, I want to be a face of that. I want to be an advocate to say like, I am Black, I do have a mental illness, and even if I didn't have mental illness, I am Black and I am in therapy.
Yeah.
Period.
I love that. I agree with everything that you say, because that's something that I say all the time, like just the whole just pray it away, or you know, everybody's thing nowadays is won't he do it, and then people are still just kind of just, it's like, go see a therapist. It is okay. I cannot tell you how many times I've even seen a therapist. I've seen a therapist before, you know, especially like my dad passed away almost 15 years ago. It was needed. I know that's not pertaining to the LGBTQ community, but just in general, just seeking therapy, because I wasn't sleeping. I didn't know how to process losing, you know, my dad, and nobody could help me through that. Nobody, not a single person could help me through that. And even in recent years, I've even seen a therapist, you know, with some family issues that were going on, and it helped me tremendously. And I remember talking about it with a friend, and they were like, I even thought about seeing a therapist before. And I'm like, you really should do. I encourage people, like, go, at least just go once. If you're paying for insurance, it's paid for. You just pay the copay and just try it. Just try it out. Just try it out, because this person, they don't know you. And they literally they're listening to you, and they're not like your friends and family who know you, who may give you, you know, their points of views because they know you. This person has no ties to you, and they can give you a different outlook on things, you know what I mean, help you handle situations with your family and your friends and your career. And you know, of course, I haven't seen anybody for mental health, but if I thought I had some mental health issues, or if it were diagnosed, I would most definitely share that as well, because it's just very important, you know.
I think it's important. I mean, I always tell people, like, I have friends that like ask me, like, you know, you see a therapist, like, you know, what's going on? I'm like, 6 sessions. I tell you, give yourself 6 sessions.
Yeah.
Because the first session, they're trying to get to know you. They're trying to figure out why you're here. They're trying to figure out who you are as a person. And the second session, they're trying to get to know a little bit more. By the third session, you're trying to get into the root of things. You know, they're trying to learn who you are. Things are starting to click. You know, these are licensed professionals that studied the mind. They study the personalities. They study, you know, that's their whole job, is to get to know you as a person and to help you through the things that you cannot process on your own. And with the, like you said, with the biases of other people and how they view you, you know, this is an unbiased person that has, they don't gain or lose anything by you telling them your information.
It's true. It's so true. It's so true.
Yeah, I say I always tell people, this is 6 sessions. Just 1 hour, 6 hours. Try it. Just talk to someone else. It sounds, I don't know. I don't know about me. Like, it sounds good to, like, I don't have to call my mom or call my friends and like talk to them about my problems, you know, because, you know, people talk and they develop opinions. Like, this is a person that you can literally walk in, spill all the tea you want, and then walk out.
And it feels so good. It really does. It feels so good to tell this complete stranger everything going on with you, and there's no judgment. There is no judgment. Their purpose is to help you. Is to help you and help guide you and on whatever path you're needing, you know, in that moment. So, oh my goodness.
Vanessa, you are so awesome. I really do appreciate you sharing your experience because some of the stuff I talk about, I always say is taboo because some things people just don't like talking about so many things. And for you to share your experiences with mental health, it means the world to me because I know how important it is to talk about those things.
Yeah.
So I'm really wishing that my audience, when they listen to this, that helps them feel that much more comfortable to do the same thing and know that it is okay. There's nothing wrong with them. And even if something is wrong, and I'm doing air quotes for those who's listening, you're okay. It's okay to seek help. And if you need pills, get them. You know what I mean? To balance balance out the chemicals in the brain. Because I know that's an issue depending on the diagnoses. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I really appreciate that because that's not a conversation a lot of people like to have, like you said, especially in the Black community. It's just like, just go to the, go up to the altar and it's like, that's not.
It helps. It's a supplement, but it's not end all be all.
Exactly.
That's just not how it works, know? And I think it's interesting that you talked about like what people are willing to talk about, what they're not willing to talk about, because I do, I have been doing this segment on my Instagram live called Let's Talk Intimacy.
Oh, I like you.
So every Friday I get a couple. I'd love to have you guys. Every Friday I get a couple and we talk about intimacy. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are like, I don't want to talk about that. Like, I don't know if we want to talk about that. But I'm like, but you also have to take in consideration that intimacy is more than just sex.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying like, oh, we're going to have a whole hour conversation about your sex life. No, I'm going to talk about what makes you a couple and how you guys connect. And so I have to send people like precursor questions and be like, oh, okay, this is what we're talking about. But I've gotten a lot of no's.
Good. I like that.
And I've gotten a lot of yeses, and and it's interesting how some people just don't want to talk about their intimacy with their partner. And I'm like, I wanted my objective was to I'm sure as you can relate that as a being queer in my teen years, I didn't have role models and YouTube and the social media to look up to people that were being positive reinforcements of what a good positive relationship was supposed to look like, especially in a same-sex relationship. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So I wanted to have these conversations to show the youth and people that like, look, we are existing in positive relationships. You don't have to go through abusive relationships or trials and tribulations to find success in your relationships. And this is what a positive, good, intimate relationship looks like. And these are the conversations that we talk about. So I've had interracial Black couples on there. I've had couples with mental health on there, disabilities, different looks of what a relationship looks like. But I have gotten some people that don't want to talk about it. And I think it's very interesting that there are some conversations, like you're saying, that some people just don't want to talk about certain things, but we have to have these conversations.
Absolutely. They're very important. Oh, yeah. I'm going to talk to Tiffany about that. I would love for us to be on there.
Yeah, it's a lot of, we have a good time. I'm telling you. It's important for us to just kind of have these difficult conversations, if not for ourselves and our community, but for the youth.
Yeah, I agree.
They're looking up to us. They're researching and Googling. They could Google the wrong thing, and then their whole perspective has changed.
Yeah, I agree. Oh wow, I like that. I always tell people that I'm interviewing, anytime I'm talking to them, like my mind starts going a mile a minute when, like if something is mentioned in the whole intimacy thing, that is very important. Like I love to communicate. Like it is so important to have open dialogue about, in my head, everything. And everybody everybody does not do that.
Yeah,
and I do it. I'm like, even if your voice is shaking, like, gotta speak up. Gotta speak up.
Because your opinion and your view on things can really impact someone.
Yeah.
and you don't know it unless you speak up.
Yeah. I'm realizing that now, especially with me starting this podcast, how much, just talking about some of these things, I call it under the umbrella, of course, but, to encompass everybody. But, I've gotten so much good feedback just about the things that I've covered thus far, and I can't wait for this just to continue growing, and people feeling comfortable to reach out to me about what it is they want to talk about. And I really love that you do that. I would love for us to be a part of that, because
I'd love to have you guys.
I've heard the horror stories of same-sex couples in abusive relationships, and it's just it's sad. It's very sad, and it's like you don't have to be there. No matter what your sexuality is, before somebody says something about that. But speaking of the LGBTQ community, like there are beautiful, loving relationships out here. I'm in one. I really am. There's a lot of people who tell me they may not ever say it on social media. They may not ever say it in front of anybody else. But there's a lot of people who tell us how much they love, how we love on each other, and our relationship, how beautiful it is. And it means the world to me, because we got enough against us. And it's like we genuinely love each other and care about one another. So.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's so sweet. I love
that. Okay, so I know I read your bio, but will you please tell my audience about your business endeavors as a pastry chef?
Okay.
I just, when you sent me your bio, I just was impressed with your resume. I'm like, wow. And then I didn't know your age. I could tell you were young, but you have a lot that you have done in 27 years. You are amazing. So please, will you tell us about your business endeavors?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's so weird, because like I think about my age, and I'm just like, I'm not anywhere where I want to be,
honey.
I say that humbly, because so I can't talk about it too much, but I was on a game show for a very popular TV channel. And it hasn't aired yet. And I was talking to the producers, and she was like, well, what's your end goal? Like, what do you want in life? And I was like, I want you guys to hire me. I said, that's my end goal. I want to be a part of this TV network, And she goes, you're too young. And I said, what do you mean? And she goes, if you look at our demographic and you look at who's already on our shows, you have to look, they're in middle age between like 35 and 50. And so she's like, that's just our demographic. And she's like, it's nothing to do with you. It's just our demographic, And I was like, oh, interesting. And she goes, so she's like, so don't give up. Because I was like, I'm just going to give it 3 more years, and then I'm just going to call it quits, And she's like, don't give up. Just wait, because our demographic is just not where you're at yet. So then I was like, I'm gonna make my own demographic.
Yes. Yes.
So I do catering. So I do. So right now I'm doing private catering for celebrities and a couple of high-profile businesses. So I do a lot of private catering for their events and things like that. Obviously not right now, because we're in the middle of the pandemic. And then I have a cookie company where I am still doing that. I have a cookie company where I ship cookies nationwide. So if you want a fun little cookie box treat, you can something different in your mailbox, then I ship cookies. And then once this coronavirus thing is over, I will be starting up again Torch, which is my pop-up restaurant. And it's a dessert bar concept. The best way I can describe it is I tell people it's like Cold Stone on fire.
Ooh.
So basically we have like pies, cookies, cakes, brownies, and we put all these toppings on it, and we set the toppings on fire. And so they melt right on top of your dessert. And then we add ice cream and sauces, and it's like this big display of just really fun hot and cold dessert.
Oh my gosh.
Which I really love. So that's called Torch. That'll be out probably 2021. We'll be traveling to major cities. And then I think that's it. Oh, well, I mean, I do a lot of food entertainment. So like I was saying, I've done some correspondence for BuzzFeed, Tasty's channel. So I had a TV show with them in 2017. Yes. That TV show is still playing on Hulu, Apple TV, and Amazon Prime.
Nice.
And then I do a couple episodes of them here and there. So you'll see me pop up on Tasty here and there. And then I'm also now a correspondent, a chef correspondent for BET. So that's new and exciting. So I did a live demonstration on their Facebook page and stuff for them a couple of weeks ago. So my goal in life is to do food entertainment, but it's also to be a platform, to get myself into a platform to have conversation.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm very unapologetic about myself. So I want to have a conversation about,
you should be.
Yeah, you know, being a Black chef, being a queer chef, being a mental wellness advocate, you know. I want to be able to be in a platform, in a space where I can have these conversations and a vast majority of people can reach that.
Yeah.
And also share my love of food in the process.
That is beautiful, Vanessa. I was talking to Vanessa before we started recording. My wife, Tiffany, I'm always talking about Tiffany. I told Tiffany I'm going to put out a petition for her to join me full time on this.
She would be hilarious.
Oh my God, she is. But Tiffany recently took one of Vanessa's cooking classes, and it was for 3 weeks. And when I tell you, Vanessa, you are amazing. Like, your food is delicious. You know, that the recipes that you made sure that you put together. And Tiffany, of course, would, like, if somebody, I mean, like, it was a live class on, was it Zoom that you all did it on? Because I just, when she's in the kitchen, I stay out the kitchen. You know, that's her kitchen in that moment. I stay out the way, and, you know, I could hear her just cutting up, and you all having so much fun. And, you know, if people didn't have certain ingredients, you would quickly, off the top of your head, tell them what they could use to substitute it. And I was like, man, that is so freaking cool. That is so cool. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Tiffany, she misses that. That was a lot of fun for her. She had
I miss my students so much, because we had a great time. And even like one of my students made this awesome idea to do like a cooking playlist. And so I even made a playlist for us to all jam to at the same time while we're cooking.
She told me about that too. Yeah.
So yeah, Tiffany was a part of that. So we're all like jamming to awesome music, making good food, just getting to know each other. And it's all brown people, you know, a mix of queer and non-queer people, you know, but it's just, we were just having such a good time. And that was an initiative that I started because I was experiencing a lot of internal pain about what was going on in our community. As Black people, and I'm not really a protester type, you know, like I support protesting and things like that, but like me myself, I'm like, okay, like let me know, like I'll pass out water bottles, you know, like so I wanted to do something to bring joy to our community during this time, and I was like, the one thing I know that brings me joy is food and cooking. And so I wanted us to just have a few hours a week to just disconnect, re-engage with each other, and just learn something different, learn something new, just you know, get our minds away from the media and social media and things like that. And so I knew that was going to be my way to contribute to the cause, because everyone can contribute their own way to the cause. You don't have to.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
So that was and then now I have this new initiative, like as you were mentioning before, I'm now doing a fundraiser for Black trans people. And all the proceeds are going to go to the Trans Wellness Center, and it's my Spread Joy Foundation. And so we're raising money for to give gift cards to Black trans people to get necessities, to go to the movies, you know, to go to a restaurant, just to have some joy in their lives during this time. So that's something that's really important to me, which ties in with mental wellness. All of this ties into just the wellness of our people and our community,
Absolutely.
you know?
Absolutely. You are a wonderful young lady. You really are. You and your mission with that cooking class for those few weeks, it was amazing. It was so beautiful. My wish for you is that if that's something that you want to continue, is that the resources come that you're able to continue to do something like that, because that was beautiful. Just, I mean, because I think Tiffany even mentioned it. Like, you can tell when people put love into food. Like, I hate when I hear people say when they kneading dough, like, take your frustration out on the dough, and it's like, no, don't put your frustration into food. Like, I really feel like you can taste when people took the time and they care about what they're doing. It
Yeah.
just reflects in the food. And the Mexican week,
So
Vanessa,
fun. It was a hard week because everyone
yes,
was stressed out, but they did it. They did it.
that food was so good.
I'm glad. And that was the other thing, because I wanted people to, like, I mean, Black people know Black food, you know? So that's why I wanted to do an Italian week and a Mexican week and things like that, because I wanted us to learn more about just Black food. Obviously, I put Southern food in there because there are Black people that are not Southern. So, you know, they don't know a lot about Southern food. So I wanted to expand minds.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, well, if you're gonna learn how to cook, you're gonna learn how to cook, you know?
You did a fabulous job. You really did. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for that.
Oh, I'm so glad you got a chance to try it and love it.
every bit of it. I sure did. My face not getting this round for nothing.
Okay.
I'll get back on track soon. But yeah, I'm very happy, and my wife loves to cook for me, and I'm grateful for her. So that all of that was just perfect. It really was. Thank you so much. So the last thing that I wanted to ask was, with all of that being said, how can my listeners and viewers reach out to you for your services?
Yes. So you can reach out to me via social media. Pinch of Brown Sugar is my social media across all facets. And also my email, pinchofbrownsugar@gmail.com. I also have my website, vanessaparish.com, which has pretty much everything I do. So my BuzzFeed videos are on there, my cookies are on there, tour dates for Torch, when that happens, will be on there. My services, like my services list is on there. I'm actually writing a book, and I'm doing a book blog combo this year.
Ooh.
So I'm writing a book, but I'm also releasing a couple of the recipes from the book on a blog, so people can kind of get excited about the book. So that'll be on there as well. So I'm going to be releasing some new recipes. So all that information is on my website, vanessaparish.com. I try to make it as easy as possible, like a one-stop shop type of situation. But yeah, like I'm available for everything, anything food related. I do. As of lately, I've been doing private Zoom date nights. So kind of like what we did for the cooking classes. I send you recipes and a shopping list, and then we spend 2 hours and teach you guys a little private date night on how to cook a meal of your choice. And we kind of I just go through it with you guys and things like that. So I've been doing little date nights lately. If you need cookbook recommendations, I have a huge, extensive, I own more than 150 cookbooks. So,
Wow.
you need to know a good cookbook to start off your journey with and things like that. I definitely am available for those. If you have just random question about food and wellness, I'm an open book. So I really like to connect with people on an interpersonal level. So please just hit me up for anything. I'm available.
Oh yeah, I'll be reaching out to you about those cookies and this date night cooking thing. Something different. I like that idea. That is beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's so much fun because you can get cute and you can cook, and then you guys have your nice little 3-course meal, and and it's just fun.
Yes, so I will be in contact with you about that to find out, the costs and all that beautiful stuff. I would love to take advantage of that. Doing something I like trying different things here lately. So trying to get out my box of the same
Same
thing.
mundane, especially right now. Like everyone's doing the same things every day. So yeah, I totally get you, girl.
Well, Vanessa, it has been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much. You are amazing. You really
Thank
are an
you so
amazing young
much.
lady.
Thank you. I really do appreciate it. It's been a whirlwind of a ride. For sure. It definitely took me some ups and downs to get to where I am now, but I'm very fortunate that I'm getting to grow into myself and become just a very centered person, and
Yeah.
I think that to my therapist. My therapist is my rock, man. She's amazing.
Oh, that's beautiful. I do. I really appreciate this conversation about mental health and, of course, the cooking and stuff. I just personally think you can't ever learn too much about cooking new dishes and desserts and all that stuff, because most people, it's just the same thing over and over again. And you want to learn some new stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
thank you so much. I really appreciate you being a guest. Hopefully, I can have you on again to discuss some further topics.
Yeah.
Um, and talk more about your delicious treats because you have a lot going on that deserves a platform. So I'm here for
I
it.
do. I do. It's funny because people ask like, "Oh, what do you do?" And I'm like, "Well, and I'm just like,
Pull up a chair.
yeah, I'm like, how much time do you have?" But I love it. I love the passion that I have, and I love the energy, and I love making people happy. That's where
Yeah,
it comes from. I love seeing the joy on people's faces when they try my food, when they get to experience what I'm offering, and we have great conversation and we connect. Like that's all what being on this earth is about.
oh
Um,
yes.
so I'm all about living life to the absolute fullest, and that is with other people and making communities.
Yeah, I love that. I agree. Well, thank you so much, Vanessa. You have an amazing day. Again, thank you
Thank
for being a
you.
guest on.
Well, I mean, thank you for having this conversation. Like you should give yourself applause
Absolutely.
for even wanting to have a conversation. So thank you
Yes.
so much. I really appreciate you.
It is truly my pleasure. It really is. Thank you so much. You take care, okay?
You too.
Thanks.
I am truly grateful I had the opportunity to talk to Vanessa, having a very candid conversation about mental health, but just her um, being vulnerable in that moment, talking about her actual mental health journey. That takes a lot of guts to talk about. Um, like, I don't understand people not wanting to have those conversations because that's not my demeanor, but I don't want to take that from other people's experiences. I really hope that this conversation opens the door for people to have more intimate conversations about their mental health and the importance of it. um, but Vanessa, thank you again for being a guest. I wish you nothing but success in all of your endeavors. You are um, truly a light to have, and I'm so grateful. My wife and I has had the opportunity to cross your path. With that being said, as you all go about your day, please know that you are loved, you are supported, you are enough, and you are worthy. You all take care, and thanks for tuning in. Mwah. Thanks for joining us on Under the Umbrella podcast. Check us out on Instagram at UT Umbrella, on Facebook at 1UT Umbrella. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Under the Umbrella and visit our website at utumbrella.com. As always, subscribe to the show to catch every new episode and leave a review so we can continue to bring you fresh content. If you had a question to submit for the Ask Angel segment, please submit to contact@utumbrella.com. See you next week.